What is up? Episode number five.
Five,
of
five,
Wavelength.
five, five. I think it's five.
And we're back. We are on schedule, on time, and ready to go. I'm Kuchors.
Verdict, dude. Adam. Let's go with Adam. A little edgier.
And we have been absolutely just killing it in Remnant lately. And we've been keeping up with some gaming news. Modern Warfare, of course. Always just watching vids.
We'll try our best to stray away from
Yeah.
Modern Warfare this episode because this definitely was consuming our brains for about 3 weeks there. It still is, but we're gonna try to distract ourselves. But honestly,
We're
dude,
trying to wean off.
yeah, we watched Cyberpunk gameplay trailer that came out yesterday, day before. I think it's yesterday, and then the Remnant from the Ashes. Man, I've just been grinding that. Like I've just loved it so much. I've honestly, like I've said in the past, and we've talked about, like I just usually have a hard time getting super into like single player experiences or RPGs unless I'm like watching them a lot or playing a lot with friends. But I've even put a good amount of time in by myself, and yeah, I don't see it letting up anytime soon. Especially if they add anything to the game.
It's been an absolute blast, especially as a game like that can just hold us over at least until like Borderlands 3 even. But even further than that is like we've been talking about. We've just been continuously impressed by this game. It's just incredible, like the amount of things they've done in a $40 game, just the amount of replayability and just not necessarily unique features, but just kind of like the culmination of all the features from different games and different IPs that have all come together, just fit together so well, just like perfect puzzle pieces almost. And it's just incredible that they can kind of mix a Dark Souls feel with like a 3-player co-op Destiny feel of a raid, and make that the vibe of the game. Is just incredible. I feel like we're doing like hardcore raids with 3 people, and it's awesome. And I really like the theme of it. It's kind of like a high fantasy, like I don't know,
Yeah,
like
like the
Metro, Fallout.
yeah, Metro is a good example. I think it's like this post-apocalyptic, like it's and the enemies remind, like we were saying, it's like almost like you took like a more demonic version of like the Flood and like that kind of thing, and like more, I guess, more like tree based and like root based. They are called the root, instead of like fungus and stuff. But like it's cool. It's really cool. And honestly, like it's an interesting thing because Dark Souls is a game that largely is a lot of like melee dodging attacks and stuff. There's definitely some projectile stuff, but since most of the time you're in a melee like class setup, most of the time they're running it, you're definitely like up close and personal. So it's interesting to get that same vibe from like almost more of a projectile based, or like they're charging at you, but the goal is for you to almost keep your distance instead of like staying close enough to melee people. It's like a whole different kind of dynamic, but it's not even like keeping your distance. Like if you're good enough, like you can just hold your ground on most guys and just hit headshots and iframe their attacks and you're good, you know? So it feels really satisfying when you do pull that stuff off. And like when you just take out a group of mobs super fast, or you beat a boss like the first try, it's like, oh, that was so good. That was so good. Yeah.
The guns feel good. The enemies are obviously difficult, so like that's definitely what makes the grind of killing enemies still pretty fun and satisfying. That I think is going to keep us with this game for a longer period of time than Warframe, or come back more frequently than like Warframe or something. Is just like you're really struggling, not necessarily struggling, but focus per fight. You have to dodge projectiles, dodge attacks, because if you don't, they're going to take a third of your health or half your health, or you can get locked up. You can die when you're just going from place to place pretty easily, which is a nice refresher, even on normal mode. And I haven't even dove into hard yet, but something I was kind of concerned at first was like that you don't get a ton of armor upgrades or weapon upgrades super fast, but like they start coming pretty quick. But really, it doesn't matter if they come quick, because like the game's not really about that. It's not about the loot necessarily. I think it's more about the challenge, and the loot is kind of like secondhand, and it happens to be along the road. But
yeah, I definitely agree. I think for me also, the loot is like really well balanced. I will say, you know, when we were first playing, we felt like I'm definitely loading up hardcore on like some of the lower tier loots now that don't necessarily. If you play the game or haven't played the game, basically the loot system, like every 5 or so levels on most weapons, you get like a next tier of loot that you have to get to like move those higher. So you have to be playing on like harder difficulties or later in the game, or just be a higher level to get that to those tiers. So I will say like the lower couple tiers, like iron and forged iron and stuff, I'm sitting on like a stack of like 400 right now. But the thing is I'm not upset about that because I know I'm going to like that either down the road when they add new stuff or right now get new armor that's going to be low level again. And I'm just going to have to max it out again. So it feels like all the loot I'm getting is super worthwhile. Like and honestly, considering it's a, you know, honestly, you beat the campaign in about 10 hours, but like I've already put almost 3 times that into the game. Like that's how much it's like done a good job of replayability for me. And I think that especially if the developers seem as active as they seem they're going to be, the game's only been out a week. If they add any amount of content,
patch come out a week after the game was out. Huge balance patch that balanced like almost every single gun and handful of the mods in the game.
Yeah, and fixed a bunch of bugs people were having. And I mean, you got to remember this is a AA game basically for $40. You know, like that's like impressive that they are doing this good. Because I mean, everyone here has been you know, bought a AAA game that came out with just stupid amounts of problems. You know, so it's really refreshing.
Or you just beat it in 8 hours and there's no reason to replay it.
Yeah, exactly. But insane. No, honestly, like you're saying, it's a good tide over to Borderlands. Honestly, I think it's like. I think when I play Borderlands now, I'm gonna be like, oh, I kind of wish I was playing Remnant. You know, like exactly, like the more like the movement system and the difficulty level. When I play Borderlands, I feel like it's gonna play like a steamroll, you know? Because like playing Remnant's like, I mean, you're sweating, but like you're getting really good if you're actually beating these games or these boss fights.
It's nice though because that game is like it's got such a good foundation for where it's at. Even just the fact that there's cutscenes where you can actually have dialogue choices. Do the choices really matter? Not really. I mean, there's like one point in the game without spoiling anything that it matters what choice. I mean, like one that I can think off the top of my head that's major. That like the choice makes you have a whole different experience essentially. But other than that, like, but the fact that that's even in there already is such a good foundation.
Yeah, and for me,
like this bare bones, even especially the story isn't in your face at all. Like it's really in the notes and that you're finding in the books that you're reading that you don't have to read by any means.
But it's written well. Like just like just a really quick interception, you can keep going. But the books and the dialogue and everything, honestly, the writers are good and the voice actors are good. Like I'm a nut for that shit. If a game has bad writing and like I'm like listening to these voice actors and I'm just like, this sounds like shit, or like it just sounds like it was written by someone who doesn't have experience writing scripts. Like when you hear a good written script and it flows with the story and the music that got you to this place was just ambient as hell, and then you walk into this badass area with this badass dude that's just written really well and sounds great, it's just amazing. Like it's such a good immersion that like not a lot of games can pull off, and I think they did a really good job, honestly. But
no, yeah, it's just crazy, like a foundation like that, because I really relate this game and its possible success to something that could be like Warframe, and I know you have too. But like the fact that like Warframe was so much more bare bones than this at the beginning. I mean, I think this game has more funding than a game like Warframe did from the start, though.
Yeah,
like Perfect World, they've got more of a history, I would say.
I mean, honestly, the game market now is just more poised to let games blow up than when Warframe came out. Warframe's an old game, you know. So
definitely. But yeah, I just think the foundation is amazing. Like that they have story, that they have cutscenes, that they have like these bosses that are like pretty set in stone, and they even have a replayability like system in there already, where people have a carrot on the stick, people have a reason to keep going, and there's like kind of a foundation, like a set schedule, I think, of that they're already showing of kind of what the future road's going to be for content, like. Where you can see that there's a campaign you can select when you're at a checkpoint or like at the crystal in the main hub, like that, just pretty telling that there's probably going to be more campaigns released, just kind of like even like a D&D campaign would release, just like, hey, new story, new items, new bosses, like new zones, like go have at it, $10 or something, you know, and that'd be awesome. And like if it, I don't think it'd be $10. I think it'd be $20, but $20 for a whole new campaign would be so worth it, because it's almost like buying the game all over again. Because essentially you're getting a whole campaign that's like the meat of what's going on. I don't care if the town I'm going back to is still Ward 13. I like if I have like 5 new zones with more cutscenes and brand new bosses, then $20 is more
totally
than
worth.
It's more than So,
and honestly, a big thing for me too is the game. If they take where like even just a remote path of like the biggest thing with Warframe. Sorry to kind of stutter there for a second. The biggest thing with Warframe is that for me, it's set up in a way still that like when you go to craft something, you have to wait to craft it unless you want to pay for plasma and stuff. Obviously, Warframe's a free to play game, but this $40 price model that they went with is so much better for me. It's so much better for me. I would much rather just pay $20, $40, $60 and just run the game and not have to worry about buying platinum all the time than to have
I don't,
to, like, I don't know. It's just that the
to talk
vibe
on
that they've
that, I
gone.
don't think
I
there's a
really like
single
it.
microtransaction in this game.
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one at all.
I don't think there is as of
Honestly,
right
to be
now.
fair, there's no cosmetics though, right? Like it's taken the Dark Souls vibe of like
Yeah,
your cosmetics are what you're wearing in the game for your equipment. That's it. There's no
yeah.
extra.
This is a game. This is the type of game where I hope they don't put transmog into. I think it's like kind of a
Yeah,
big deal
not
for
at all.
that.
I don't want it. I definitely don't
Yeah.
want
Just because like getting gear is hard and like it's cool to have gear and show it off and just be like, yeah, I've got this, and people know exactly what you did to get it, because you have to do the same thing every time to get it. But
it. Yeah,
it's just got kind of that cool vibe where you can, it's like walking into a MMO town and seeing somebody with a sweet legendary. So like I've got this badass spear right now, and I love it. I love
yeah,
just walking around with. I don't even use it that much in combat. I crafted it kind of solely just because it's sweet looking.
yeah.
Because melee is not that quite like that cool at the point we're at least anyway in this game. I mean, it's cool, but it's not that
No,
great.
it
Not that
definitely
viable.
feels like you have to have a very specific build setup if you're going to run
Yeah.
melee. Like,
I'm sure you could
so
do it, but
probably
and I'm
not
not
work.
saying, sorry, I'm not saying it's not cool. Like the melee actually is cool,
It's
and this
really
game is
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
satisfying and it feels good, but it's just not super. And it's even viable almost, but it just like
I just think the enemies are
I
tailored
wish I could
towards
stash
you
mobs.
being
Yeah,
away from them. Because, like,
yeah.
honestly,
It's
like,
definitely a shooter. This
there
game's
are
definitely a
like
shooter.
60 to 80% of the mobs, if you just walk up to them and melee them, they're gonna rock your ass. I mean, they're
Yeah,
like, you're gonna die. Like, you're just like, I can definitely see meleeing to finish people off, but yeah, for sure. But like you said, like, I got this hammer, and I, after playing solo and not playing with you, and I was just
yeah,
like, oh, I want to show Mitch this fucking hammer, man. Like, I'm so excited. Like, and so you get in the thing, and I just walk
yeah.
up, and it can do like this like heavy hit that just does this
Where it
AOE explosion.
roars.
Yeah, and it roars at you, and it's like so cool to like get those things for the first time. Like, it definitely gives
Yeah,
you like I feel like I'm playing, like everyone's traditional version of that would be World of Warcraft. Like when you got a
yeah.
brand new set of armor and you're just walking around like a badass. Like that was
I
just the
love it.
best feeling in the world, and I'm glad the
Yeah.
game gives me that.
I feel like after I'd get like a set of armor, I remember getting the Scarlet Monastery plate armor set for my paladin. Like
Yeah,
all the pieces when I was like level
yeah.
30 or 40 or
In
something like that.
Cataclysm,
I
what was the
took
level
like an
cap?
hour
70?
or two off from playing and just kind of went and chilled around in front of low level people.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
honestly, I was a
I
kid
just
at the time,
remember I
so it was
remember
a
in I
different.
think it
I wouldn't
was
do that now, but
I think it was Cataclysm's level cap was 70 or 80, 70. I think it was 70.
I think it was 90.
Was it 90? And then it went then they
Burning
went
Crusade
10.
was 70, and then Wrath was 80.
You're right. You're right. I'm
So it
sorry.
could have been 85 or
Whatever the
90.
level cap was, I
Who
hit
knows?
level
It's
cap,
200 or
and
something.
I was
Probably.
grinding for PvP points all the way through levels. Like I literally leveled this guy 0 to 100 on PvP, more or less, or
Yeah.
0 to 90. And so when I finally got there and I had the PvP points just stacked up, this is back when that's all it was. I just like purchased this whole armor set and just walked around Orgrimmar like feeling the greatest joy in my world. And went into my first PvP match, just felt the power creep and just was slapping people. Like it's just the greatest feeling, and I definitely think this game does a good job of that. I will say the trait system for me is really cool, and I'm interested. Like I haven't really looked into it if there's a cap on it or like how that necessarily works. Do you know?
I'm pretty sure you can max out every single trait all the way. I think there's 640 trait points, which means there's what, 32 traits total. Is that right? Is that right? Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds
I
good.
mean,
Those numbers
yeah.
work
I
out.
mean,
Yeah. Uh
the cool
huh.
thing though is that you can respec in this game. That I'm not gonna spoil how you get to do it. There's a way you can get to respec, but
Yeah.
you have to play the game to find out. But other than that, like if you like mess up your points, it really doesn't matter. Like traits, the reason I really like it is just because traits are given out at a fixed rate. So it takes 1500 XP to level up every time, and it's going to take that whether you're level 1 or level 200. So you're just always getting levels consistently, which feels really good because like you'll even open your menu and be like, oh, I have 18 trait points to put in, and you can put traits into things like vigor, which gives you just straight up more health, or endurance, give you more stamina, or things like will give you more crit damage, just anything like any RPG stat you can think of, kind of.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice because we were just talking about the other day, but this game definitely feels great because you're just always progressing. Like whether you're playing at the very end and you and me are fighting for we're grinding for the last boss for a
For a
little bit, like, and
while.
it felt
Yeah.
good.
We were getting our
And
asses
like
kicked for a minute there, man.
yeah, and or if we're just playing at the very first zone and we're just looting, like it feels good. Like you get scrap in this game, which is the currency, the money, you spend at traders and stuff. And what's amazing is that like so many games out there just throw you like millions of credits or gold or cash, dollars, whatever, and you have nothing to spend
Gil.
it on. Yeah, anything. Like, yeah, I've got 1,000,000 gold, but potions are 50.
Yeah.
It's just
And you
like,
can't
but
buy
this game,
weapons
you're
that are
always
useful.
broke. You're always, which is a
Yeah.
good, not a bad thing. You're broke because you're always upgrading. You
Yeah.
always have shit to spend it on. So
It's pushing you to
it's
the
really
grind.
refreshing.
It's always brings you
Yeah.
back to the grind. And when you're grinding and you like open up chests and you see this like shit to stack up on the side of your screen,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my god, I'm gonna upgrade so much stuff. You know, you're
Or
just
while
like
we're
super
on this
lit.
topic too, loot is really nice because it's absolutely completely group shared. So
Yeah.
it's not like I pick up 50 scraps, so it's 25 for me and 25 for Adam. Like we're both getting 50 if I pick up a stack of 50.
I
Because
also
it's a straight PvE game, so everything is just completely, so every material I pick up, so upgrade materials like rusted iron or galvanized iron, forged iron, anything. I get two. Adam's also getting two. He doesn't even have to be near me. Like it just everything's shared, so it's actually really advantageous for like teams to split up and kind of have good routes a lot of times, as long as you're like good enough to fight people alone.
I definitely think the game is designed
But-
to be played in duos or threes. Personally,
Yeah.
like, and the reason I say that is because
And you
if
play a
you're
lot more solo, so you
if
can
you're gonna
do
play
that.
solo, like I've probably got about 10 hours of solo. I'd say pretty close to that.
Yeah.
And I just started a hard playthrough, and I'm about halfway through that hard playthrough. And personally, like, I just stopped searching everything because for me, if I'm playing solo, these maps are pretty dense. Some of them are kind of vertical, and there's like a lot of areas to cover, and you want to cover them. But like as a solo player, you'll have the mobs cleared out and spend like a few minutes exploring, which is cool. But once you're replaying the map, I would much rather. The real cool thing about having 2 or 3 people is if you kind of just watch your map where they go and you just don't go there, and you kind of just create this fan that you just like get all the items.
Yeah.
And it feels great because you're sitting there and you're like, oh, he found the chest that I wouldn't have found because I took this route, and then that guy over there found a chest, and you're just like sharing this evenly across everybody. And it
With you
feels
saying that too, the movement speed, like one of my few gripes about the game is the movement speed feels
Yeah.
pretty bad.
you can put there's like some items that can help with that, or like stem that can help with that. But if
Yeah.
you're constantly having to use those things, it feels bad. I definitely wish there was like a power sprint or something.
It feels great for combat. It's at a perfect point for combat.
Yeah.
I say it's a small gripe because it's just because I'm lazy, and I
Yeah.
would prefer to get from one point to another quicker. Of
Yeah.
course, but like for combat, it feels absolutely perfect. For boss fights, it's tuned perfectly to their attacks, their movements. I think it's right where it should be for that. I'm just like, I've only got so much time to game every night, so
Yeah.
I'd love to get from this
Yeah.
this zone to the next quicker, of course,
Yeah.
obviously. But yeah, that's
I
just
think
a
a
small
big
gripe.
I think a big reason why they probably had to do that is because the game really is focused on ranged combat out of yourself. And if you and the game would have to have crazy good code to like always know when you're in combat and out of combat, because the way this game works is like you'll just like
Yeah.
get attacked all the time randomly. So it kind of just works out that like they had to keep you at the speed that you couldn't just kite the shit out of everything and abuse it, and they just had to say you're going to get that everywhere, right? So I definitely like that because, like you said, the movement speed's at a spot where, like, if you just turn and sprint away from a mob, like there are a few mobs that are good at charging you and stuff, you'll run out of stamina and they'll run your ass down. Like you have to
Yeah.
turn and dodge or you're going to die. So it's done really well for sure.
Yeah, this game too, like it is fun as hell to play. Like and I really want to say that as a disclaimer because I've really taught myself that watching this game I don't think is that fun or exhilarating. Like some of these fights that when I was in, my heart was pounding and I was like really into it, calling out, just like zoned in 100%. I like the other night I was trying to show some of my friends. I'm like, dude, this Remnant game, me and Adam have been playing a ton. Like we can't put it down. I show them like a boss fight that I thought was just exhilarating, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm just like, these guys probably are gonna say this game's trash because you just
Yeah.
like you dodge a couple orbs and then you just pull out, just boom, boom, boom. Then you dodge again, but you don't realize that while you're dodging, that you're freaking out, hoping that you don't get hit. 'Cause if you do, you're stun locked and you're gonna
Yeah.
get one shot wipe.
And you have like a
realize that when you make those
5
shots,
frame
you don't hit
section.
those headshots, that if you're not hitting those headshots, you're not going to get the crits that are going to actually help you kill the boss in time before he enrages or something like that. So like
Right.
there's a lot of stuff going on that if you watch the gameplay, it can look very plain or just very, just shit. Like, I don't know, not that hard even. So
Also depends on how you're watching too. If you're like on YouTube watching a video, the video you're watching is when that guy beat the boss. You didn't watch his 10 attempts to learn the boss, right? Like,
with that being said, dude, the last boss, you and I worked on him for 2 days, I think, maybe 3. I don't know.
I think it was out of between like starting it. We started it with another buddy of ours, Christian. So all 3 of us were playing it. We were getting our asses whooped. And so you and I came back, tried it ourselves, still couldn't beat it. Then went and grinded super hard, tried again, still couldn't beat it. And then grinded again, and then we beat it.
But then we beat him twice in a row, and when we beat it twice in a row, we were pros.
Yeah,
like we just had it down.
Yeah,
we had like
there was one, not to throw you under the bus, but the first time we played it, I think you got downed with like a quarter of the boss's health, and we just had the boss fight down so well that I was like it was just like nice. And then the next fight after, I think I died towards the end, and it was just like super easy because we both just had the mechanics down so well.
By the time we beat him 2 times in a row back to back when we had probably fought him like 60 plus times. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
That. Like,
and I don't want to say easy. Easy's like a bad word to use here because like it wasn't easy.
I just mean
it was just like
I'm saying like if you would have watched footage of us on our kills, our boss kills, it would have looked easy.
Exactly.
Because we had it so down after 60, 70 times of fighting them that like, we just had a system that we were like pretty laxed about it compared to the other 60 times at least. When I say easy, I'm saying it was easy compared to the other times where we were getting stomped when he had 75% health. So
I mean, and when we say we're getting stomped,
and I mean, had a couple heals left.
I mean, we never got him below 90% health for the first like 20 to 30 fights.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was like we didn't even like, and it's mostly because there were some things we had to understand and learn about the boss fight, and it felt really good once you did. So yeah. For sure. But
boss fights are very nice. Like if you ever watch Destiny raids, the mechanics are very similar to even any of those. So there's like if you're familiar with Atheon from Destiny 1, one of the fights is pretty similar to that. That's the final boss of the first raid in Destiny 1, the Vault of Glass. So that's a call out if anybody's familiar with that. But just mechanics like that, just orbs popping up that you need to shoot, turrets happening, rotations that need to be made. You need to hide behind pillars for certain. So like if you played MMOs or Destiny, it's a lot of the mechanics are similar to that or call outs to those.
And I think that's now that you talk about that, like I think that those types of mechanics are what really distincts this for me from Dark Souls, right?
Yeah,
because I feel like Dark Souls is definitely just based like it's like you need to learn all the movements and twitch dodge everything. And like if you get hit, you're gonna die. Whereas this is more like, hey, learn the mechanics of the map, the flow of the map. When does he proc this? Like for example, there's certain boss fights that literally it's like, oh, when you get the first bar of health down, this is when he goes into his next phase, and like you don't learn that until you.
The hard part about this game is never the aiming and shooting, and it's never going to be. It's
I mean, it helps if you're nasty at it. It definitely helps. Because headshots and critical strikes are a pretty big deal, but
yeah, they are. They're nice, but like it's never a challenge. These enemies aren't really like sprinting at you ever or anything like that. To the point where it's hard.
I mean, if you're gonna die, you can see your death like 5 seconds off. You know, like you're like, oh shit, my stamina's out. All these mobs are coming, and he's about to use this move. I'm fucked. You're just like, oh, I'm done.
You're not getting one shot. You just know you're gonna die, and you just panic and scream the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah, I mean, it's nice just because it's a fresh change. And like I said, having boss fights like that where Dark Souls is like the Twitch shooter brother, almost like he's like, you know, the where you like when you're fighting a boss, it's more about just dodging.
It's your mechanics. It's all mechanical.
And this
really
is not about aiming. So it's not like it's a Twitch shooter or anything like that. It's about managing your buffs, your health, your like mechanics adds. Anything like that's going on, positioning with you and your teammates is really important as far as aggro goes with bosses or enemies.
And one thing we discussed too is like, for me, I think a big reason why I enjoy it is because it is a shooter, right? Like I have a hard time playing these like solely melee or solely like magic based games and stuff because it's like I just have come from a past of just playing tons of shooters and that's what I enjoy. And so, honestly, I'm really happy that it's a shooter because it's one of those things where, like, it's there and satisfies my need for that, but it's not the focus of the game. And so, it's definitely done well. But strongly recommend buying this game if you haven't. Strongly recommend giving it a shot.
Yeah, especially not only because of how great it is right now, really. I mean, I think this game, if you do everything, it probably lasts you like 50, 60 hours. Of just replaying. Of course, the game main playthrough, just you can beat the game in like Adam said, like 6 to 10 hours if you are pretty comfortable. If not, 14, 15 hours probably.
Yeah,
20 hours tops. That's a lot though.
And if it's over 20 hours, you need to choose a new game. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
probably,
No, no,
honestly,
no,
yeah.
no. But no, honestly, that's not a problem though. I think that's
No,
what a
you
lot of
probably
people love.
no, if it's 20 hours, I think you
But that
probably
was
should
a
just
lot
do
of
it.
people like that about Dark. Some people just love going in and getting slapped around
Bro,
70 times
like
per
hard
boss.
and I farmed really hard and like did a lot of extra shit.
We did
Probably went
all
through the
the
game
extra
almost
shit.
twice and I've got like 12 hours on my character. So
Yeah,
like
I guess that's true.
I went
Honestly,
like I beat the game like twice pretty much in one playthrough
yeah, which
because I
I
played
was
on
the
other
same way
people's
because
servers.
you and I
Yeah.
like bounced back and forth and played some of Christians. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So it was like 12 hours for just doing all that, but
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, we've been on this for a little while, but definitely can't stress enough how much we've been enjoying the game. So if you haven't given it a shot, try it out.
Remnant from the Ashes.
Yeah, and I know we've been streaming it
It's
a
on
little bit too.
PS4
If you ever
and
want to watch
Xbox
that.
One.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, I forgot about
It's
that.
on Steam, PS4, and Xbox One, but I have heard quite a bit on the subreddit that PS4 is having issues a lot, especially this new patch. Just so you know, if you're
Oh,
interested in
there's
that.
been a few
But
bugs that drove us crazy, like that revive bug.
yeah, but I think that was just introduced. I think so. I mean, stuff like that will probably get fixed quite quickly.
Yeah, I think they're reactive.
With that being said, that like this game isn't something you're buying $40. Like I said, the playthrough is like you did everything in the game, probably 50, 60 hours. But that's not the only draw to this game. It's the draw, like I said, that they're probably going to release a whole new campaign and another and another. Who knows, like how many they might release? But like they bring out a new campaign with new worlds, new bosses, new items. That's another 50, 60 hours for maybe 20, $30. So like if you have the game, it's really you buying into a company that it's going to deliver on content. I mean, I can't guarantee this. This is their plan.
Pretty
Hopefully
confident that they're
delivering
going
on
to.
content. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully delivering on that content. And you're really just buying like a foundation, like founders package essentially right now. If you do buy the game, if not, I'd say wait a year, see where the game's at. It's probably 4 times better a year from now than it even is now, and it's great right now. So they may have way more content even in a year. So we'll see where they go with this, and maybe on this podcast we'll be talking about it more. I'm really hoping we'll be talking about this game more in the future because I enjoy it a lot right now. I'm going to keep playing it quite a bit right now, but I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future because I'd love to support them more, and I'd love to talk about it some more because I enjoy playing it. So
yeah, for sure. Speaking of the future, Cyberpunk trailer or gameplay just dropped. And what'd you think? What was your overall? If you had to pick an all-encompassing opinion in like 10 words or less, what would you say about Cyberpunk trailer? Like, where is it? What you expected? Was it less than you expected as far as gameplay goes? Like, kind of seeing it through that mind's eye.
I'm not gonna do 10 words, but like,
They don't gotta be 10 words. That was a little strict.
Yeah,
that was a little strict.
But like the fact that I'm not more excited after watching that trailer is not a bad thing, and I think it's really easy for people to be like, that trailer wasn't that exciting or blah 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 and they just get kind of down on the game because of that. It's like, no, you're already too excited for this game. Nothing's gonna make it better. Like hype is only as big as you can make it in your own head. And if we've had that 45-minute badass gameplay demo festering in our minds for the past year, and you're just sitting here coming up with different possibilities that could happen in this game world, there's nothing, I swear to God, that will excite you more than your own imagination, because that's what gaming really stems from. That's why you have fun in these video game worlds that are single player, because your imagination really just takes over the wheel and just drives for you. And that's why I don't think I can get hyped anymore. That's why I don't think anybody is going to get more hyped from this trailer if they've seen any gameplay on this game. It's just more of what you've been already thinking about. Like, you'll see cool shit in this trailer, but it won't be cool to you because you've been imagining cooler shit in your head for a year. So
yeah, I think I said this the other day. Like, it almost would benefit Cyberpunk to just stop releasing shit. Because like, obviously that's not gonna. I don't want that. It would suck. Yeah. It would suck, and I don't think it's a good idea. But like, there's after like all the way up to basically like the last trailer that showed like Keanu Reeves and shit. Yeah. You're not gonna get any more hype after that trailer. Like, not just because of Keanu. Like, that whole trailer was sick, and then the 45-minute gameplay reveal that they had like a year ago was awesome. Mm-hmm. And so after those two things, they probably don't have any other big budget reveals they're going to be giving us. It's probably just going to be little stuff showing skills and how the game works and how NPCs work, shit like that. You know what I mean? So like, they
did just come out with a skill trailer, I think, today.
Really?
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it or not.
That's kind of too much. Like, I almost want to come across that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna I don't want to pre-build my character before I play the game. That's not.
Yeah, because I'll start thinking about that stuff a lot too. And
I want to go in blind.
A lot of times with games, like, I personally, I think it's a flaw of myself, but RPGs, MMOs, anything, like, I get pretty stressed when it comes down picking a class or any of that, because like, I want it to be the best, and I like not only just like meta wise, but I also like want to enjoy this class because I don't know how like much time I'm gonna take in this game. Like 80 hours. I mean, 100 hours. That's
That's a
not a
lot
shallow
of
playthrough.
no,
So
not
like,
at all.
if I'm not liking this character, I can't respec. And like, I'm gonna have to replay 40 hours and maybe get back to where I'm at. That's not enjoyable for me, and that can ruin a good game experience. So I like a lot of times I do get stressed. So hopefully I mean, I'm getting better at this, so don't worry. Hopefully, by the time the game comes out, it doesn't matter what class I pick. And that's, I think, with CDPR too. Also, no matter what you pick, they design the game well enough that everything's fun. I would imagine. I mean, they're pretty good developers, and I have a
Yeah.
lot of trust in them compared to most companies.
I will
So
say
I
though,
like this. I'm not worried if there's no respec necessarily because it's pretty evident. Like, oh, I want to shoot stuff. Then I'm sure you're gonna pick the right avenue. So
the hacking stuff is like I really think it's cool, but like I don't see myself ever wanting to like play that play style long term, which is like
yeah.
interesting to me because it's like it's one of those things where like if that takes too much of a focus in the game, it could turn me off. And I hope that doesn't happen because I
I
really
don't think it
like
does. I
I
mean,
don't think
there's
it
the
does.
whole like
It
there's
seems
the
like
whole
it seems
cybernetic
like they're
edge of
giving you
cyberpunk.
it seems like they're giving you like ultimate freedom to where like yeah, you might have to like hack a door to get in here and there or something like that, but it's not going to be anything crazy. And I think
Yeah,
that's the goal they'll go, but I
I
definitely
think the two main paths will always be like assault, straight in, guns blazing, or hacking. I don't know
right.
how gray it is
Right.
between those two.
Maybe you're like mid
But
fight and you like
yeah,
hack a drone or something, you know, like
yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
sure you
what were you
could,
saying?
but I think like in general, the game is going to provide, I've been comparing it a lot to GTA. It really feels like they took GTA. I hope this is the direction they go with it. All the things you can do in GTA essentially, put it in a 2077 cyberpunk world and just added shitloads of stuff to it and like made it more focused on the RPG side, combat side of things, where like you're getting like this Borderlands feel in a GTA game, that kind of vibe. And like
Yeah,
if that's the direction they finally end up going, and we do get like I just hope they don't go too far in the RPG direction where you lose that like life in the cyberpunk world vibe, right? Like I
what do you mean?
still so like I want to be able to I want it to have a big focus still on like your interactions with NPCs and like maybe things you can do with shopkeepers or like you want to rob a place or you want to like team up with something like this feeling of living in the world I want to have a huge focus on like GTA does really well but and still have that big RPG experience and that's for me what frightens me about this
But
game.
don't wouldn't arguably like RPGs? I think are the games that feel most lived in.
Well, I guess it's two different types of RPGs, right? You have like this like the fighting side, combat side, getting armor and equipment and shit like that, and then you have like your cars and your house and your relationships with NPCs and shit like that, right? So like
Yeah.
I just hope they hold up the pillars of both of those really well, and I feel like that's a huge task because like
Yeah.
GTA is a game that's spent
I know in this cyberpunk they've already confirmed you can change like housing, you can buy new housing
right,
and
but
such. It looks
how
like you can
my
have cars
curious
and
is how shallow is it, right? Like I hope it's not shallow.
are there like
I hope
three
it's
houses like regular upgraded into
exactly
prime?
like I want like a
Or
GTA
can I go to
experience.
like, oh, I like Columbus Street a lot. I
Yeah,
wonder if
I can
there's an
go buy a
yeah.
house.
Is
Yeah,
there an apartment
exactly.
on the street? Yeah.
Yeah, that I hope that level of depth is there. And what scares me is that they probably will have to put such a focus on the RPG like
It's not
combat
too hard to
side.
do that though. I mean, like even a game as simple as like Fable 1, like you
Yeah.
could buy a house in each city, which
But
is
that's
quite a
my
good
but
amount of
see
variation.
but that
Yeah.
example is like Fable 1 was sick for its time, but there's games that still try to implement that kind of shit in games that don't focus on that and it's
Yeah.
just chintzy and garbage
No,
for
I
me.
mean like if there's two houses in each district or two or three houses, I mean there's five districts, 15 houses, that's like a decent amount even.
Yeah. Alex says that he
Even
feels
like
like there's
if
gonna
you
be a
could
lot of like change in the story and respect in the chat here. And I definitely agree. Like I think the amount of like they definitely put a huge focus on you're gonna get to alter your decisions and go in different directions. So maybe that frees it up. Like maybe you're like a family man at home that just does gang stuff at night, or maybe you're like up with like these high end evil villains, or you know, I want to know how bad you can
I
be
think
personally. That's what I want.
I think the storyline is going to be kind of linear
It is, I
a
think.
little bit,
That's scary.
but I think there's a lot of different endings, I would imagine. And when I say linear, I think there's like the same end goal or like you interact with the same gangs, but like even in the newest trailer, the fact that you could pick who you side with, like that probably stems some crazy different playthroughs because if
Yeah.
I'm going with these cybersecurity hackers that are like the corporates versus this gang, my whole string of missions from there on out is going to be different. Yeah, at least with these guys as far as side quests, or maybe if that's kind of part of the main quest, like that I don't think it'll stem too much. Like it'll go like this, stem like corporate and gang, and then kind of meet back up for the main story. But
Yeah.
at least for those side missions, there'll be such a drastically different playthrough, which I think is cool. And
I
that right there, I think, is enough variation. With if you go much further than what I just said, I think right now at this point in gaming, that's like a little bit too much to
too much
expect.
of an undertaking.
If
Yeah.
you think they're branching off, and right there at that decision, our playthroughs are going to be different for the entire. They're just going to go parallel and never meet again. I think that's way too much to expect
I
at
mean,
this
one
point
thing
in
that
technology.
the one thing they can do really well, and other games have done this though, is like you have a ton of main story arcs. Geez, I can't talk.
Yeah,
In multiple sections of the game, right? So maybe you do have like a main story arc in like your home life, family life, like
yeah.
business life, right? And
I
then you
look
have a
at it
main story
like
arc, and then into your like campaign and shit like that, where you're actually
I
like
look at
fighting
it
stuff.
like almost like a honeycomb type thing where they're all shapes that connect and branch off, but they end up like, come back to the same end.
Yeah,
So
for
like
sure.
there might be a lot of arcs in the middle and you can kind of interweave them and like go through different paths, but you're going to continuously meet back for a kind of those main story missions, I would imagine.
Yeah, I just hope that it's
So
not
like
too
if your
linear and too
sidekick dude,
lifeless.
whatever his name is, if he dies, like if he's meant to die at like or if I'm sure there's different choices for that and that'll give you different shit that happens, but I think the main story will kind of be the same ending within obviously within reason. There's probably three main endings that are different, but after that I think the variation kind of dies down and gets diluted.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess my main focus that I just hope that doesn't happen is I want the like low level stuff to be as lifelike, like life full of life and like dense as they've made it appear. Because if it
Yeah,
is, like that's just incredible. Like this game's gonna be amazing, no matter what happens in the story. Like if it's things are too short or there's like things lacking anywhere. If you just have like this truly immersive experience in the cyberpunk world, that alone will make this game worth playing, right? So
absolutely.
that's just what I hope happens, and I'm pretty confident. I mean, if any studio is going to do it, it's CD Projekt Red. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident. But yeah, that gameplay trailer did add a lot of stuff. I mean, you got to see a lot of like your skill trees and things like that a little bit. You got to see some more just normal combat gameplay. One thing I really liked is they showed like a clip of a boss fight, and the boss fights look very much like Borderlands esque. With maybe some more like movement options and stuff like that, which
Not
is
too
really cool.
complex, but just something else to move the story along, I think is what they're
Yeah,
going
and
for.
something that hopefully can like you can lose at, and like they actually like are hard to beat, and it's like a big pathway to get through, right? Because some games feel like it's just like, oh, I'm just killing mobs all day, going through the story, and you don't ever have that big challenge. I hope that that's there, right?
Yeah. Something I was impressed by that I was talking to you about when we watched the trailer together was like just the range, the amount of range that this game seems to have as far as the enemies. That you're not just fighting humans all the time, or I mean you are, but they're so modified. The modifications that seem to take place in this game are looking pretty advanced and just pretty crazy, pretty high end as far as like there's a guy that was like massive and purple and just pumped like almost like a Bane like from Batman. Just pumped, his veins were popping, had a huge hammer, just looked almost mutiny like a monster, but you could still tell he was definitely human at some point. And I think modifications are going to go a little bit further than some people might expect. A lot of people kind of just expect the blades out of the arms and different, like you can jump higher, but I think they're going to go a little bit further, not only adding robotics and synthetics, but also just straight mutations. I mean, there's a whole gang that you saw a year ago in that 40-minute trailer that had their faces completely just machinery and just, like just lit up, looked like they're almost aliens. So I'm excited to see the variations they can do. Like I related it to the Division, just they really shoot themselves in the foot in the Division. And I mean, I know the game's come a long way, but just the fact that that setting is realistic and it's a Tom Clancy setting, like you really can't do much as far as variation for DLC or raids or sweet bosses. Even so, just this boss has a ton of armor plating. You have to shoot off the armor. Like he's got a flamethrower, sniper, different weapon. But other than that, you can just change how fat he is or whatever. I mean, he's a human at the end of the day in the Division. And whereas this game, it's set where people are still always going to be humans. I'm not sure there's like extraterrestrial type of life. I mean, we'll see, but I think it's just cool how all the modifications can really give them a huge range.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a good. I mean, you love cyberpunk. I love
Oh
cyberpunk.
yeah, I'm a huge fan.
That whole vibe, like cyberpunk themed stuff, is just super sick. and it does have like a huge range of things. Whenever you get into like modifications in like the future, you can kind of go wild a little bit with it. So I definitely am into that. Same thing with like cosmetics and stuff. That's for some super sick like outfits and guns and things like that. So the game should have a really good vibe to it. You should look and feel pretty cyberpunky. Honestly, like the game they've been putting so much time into it. They've been hyping it so much. It's a studio that we all really trust, honestly. Like they've done a great work over the last 10 years or so. And so I think all in all, there's no need to be worried. It's just more of like, will it deliver 100%? And I think even if it only delivers 60%, we can't complain. Like the game is just like, I'm almost worried that maybe the scope is set too high and we'll just be let down, but I'm not going to be let down because even if it's half as good as it looks, I'm going to enjoy myself.
I need to take this time to say something though, even with that comment you just said.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, and I followed this game very closely. I'm kind of a freak about games I'm excited about. I just watch every video. I listen to anything developers are bringing out, but like, I think something I'm noticing with Cyberpunk is the developers really aren't pitching this scope that high. But like I said, like with everybody just letting this game go with their imagination, like
they're creating the scope.
And you get these people on like forums and Reddits and stuff where like, oh man, sometimes I get pretty frustrated with people in forums because they just say the most outlandish shit. Like,
wait, Reddit isn't where you should go?
No, I just mean like this forums, people are like unrealistic. It reminds me of how I thought about video games when I was like 7 years old. They'll be like, wouldn't it be cool in Cyberpunk if you could get like married and like then have a dog and stuff? You'd had to take your dogs for walks and like make sure you had to go to the bathroom on time and stuff. Then you could have a kid and you could continue to play through your kid. Like, I'm sorry, that'd be like maybe like family life features would be kind of cool, but I do not think those are gonna be in the game at all. Like, just hands down. Like, you can kind of tell the direction they're going. Like, but then 100 posts come up like, oh wow, yeah, this just builds on top of it, and then people keep reading this stuff and like, oh, and then that just is in their head for the next post that they post, like the next thread they post, and like they just keep building these like the anticipation and imagination up, and like that's what's always frustrated me about like a lot of these single player games is like the anticipation and time waiting just allows your imagination to just go limitless like through the clouds, and you can just make up anything you want this game to be, and then it's going to come out as what the developer pitched it to be.
Right.
And it's like makes the developers kind of reluctant to even say some of the features that are in the game, because I don't want people to just use this as a stepping stone to like blow it up into something it's not going to be.
And the fine line
I want to really emphasize that I just think this game, like, they're pitching it to have lots of paths and be pretty open, but I don't think I'm not gonna expect. I don't think every NPC is gonna be interactable, other than like if I press enter interact on a character in the street, that they'll be like, hey, watch where you're going. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
some scripted thing.
I don't think I should be able to talk and have dialogue options for every person in the street. I guarantee. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But I don't think.
But I want a lot of people in the street. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's my thing. Is like, even if they're just like, hey, where are you going? I obviously don't give me if I walk by 6 dudes and they all say the same shit, you know, like, but the bottom line is like, if they have a nice scripted out 100, 200 responses that these people can give you, and then they dense this shit down, and then you can only talk to 20%, 10% of them, that's fine with me. That's totally fine. But
definitely,
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's a fine line you walk as a developer, and a fine line you walk is like when you want to hype your game up and you're showing like your features. They really are features, but they are cutting edge features to any game ever to come out, right? It's like, this shit's going to be the best you've seen. But to some people, the best you've seen is the best possible, and that's not the case, right? Like, it's just that you got that climb. So like,
it's think
of all your favorite games, maybe mash some of them together, all the features you liked out of those, they'll probably be here. But you know what I mean? And maybe a couple more things you haven't seen. But it's just going to be like a really polished version of what we've seen elsewhere, smashed into one.
Just some like even a feature I'm thinking of right now. I don't, for example, like you might be able to, this is even a little bit far-fetched. It depends on what the game's going for. But like you might be able to buy your own business and like have a side.
I hope so.
Income. You know, something like that, or be able to rent houses out, or like
that kind of shit. Out. I love that kind of shit. Like, I want that. I want that so bad.
Be able to build passive income over like in a game.
Yeah,
really
I love it.
Because at the end of the game, you're just like getting max money.
You log on and get your tenant's paycheck, and you're like, let's get it.
It's a really euphoric feeling to even be making money in a single player game while you're not there, just like in-game cash, just like, oh, I'm making rent off the, like, you know, in real life hours. But I don't think you'll be able to like buy a gun shop, then go work in the gun shop behind the cash register and interact with civilians that are coming to buy your shit. Like that's like where a lot of comments can go, and I don't just stuff like that. It's not gonna happen, and I feel like I want to make sure people keep their heads level about the games because I would hate to see a game like Cyberpunk that it comes out being what it was meant to be, and people say it sucks because it's not what they had in their head.
Yeah.
And like I just hope that
But
doesn't
I
happen.
think it's going to happen. There's going to be a 5 to 10% group that thinks that and just angry on the internet. But
Yeah.
oh, you still there? I had a little bit of an
Yeah.
issue. All right, cool,
We're
cool.
good.
We're good. We're good. But anyways, like they can those 10% can kind of just like hush up and let us enjoy ourselves, you know? Like I think that's just kind of everyone's opinion on it, and you're always gonna have that. But yeah, overall,
Yeah.
I'm super stoked for the game. I think like it's probably, I mean, it looks to be one of the biggest undertakings a single player game's ever had, right? Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't, can you think of any? I
Uh,
mean, maybe
No,
in the
I think
frame
this
of
game's
reference,
going to raise the bar for
yeah,
sure.
maybe in the frame of reference of the time they were made, right? Like, you could look at back at like some of the first GTAs and be like,
Yeah, like
holy shit, like
steps
this
for
is
the
like
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as just the
Yeah.
overall undertaking, I think this has got to be one of the largest single player undertaking.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
don't think it's the biggest like step, but I mean,
no,
I think it's
no.
the next step, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the
And
next
so
step for sure.
I think that just when this game comes out, it's just going to be like all these other developers gotta honestly just be like, holy shit. Like we really, you know what I mean? Like GTA 6
Set a
has got to be
precedent.
nasty. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like there's these types of games that have this RPG feel. They've just got to step up when that game's on the market. So I think that's just a good thing for everybody.
Especially with like the graphical fidelity of the game. I mean, if the combat and like RPG is there, like a lot of, I mean, I don't know. Especially something to mention with that too. I don't think this game is going to be the type of game where you can just. Have confirmed you can kill everybody except for like quest givers and stuff. I think and like main
Right.
merchants or something. But I like apparently the police are pretty OP. So and
Yeah.
they like made that a big deal on purpose so that like it's a game where you're kind of a criminal or a gang. Like
You're
you're like a
underground.
criminal. You're an
You're not a
anarchy.
terrorist.
Yeah, they want
Yeah.
you to be kind of like worried about the cops, because if you're
Yeah.
in that position, if you're not a movie star in a movie, then you're worried about the cops,
And
like
to be honest, that's realistic, right? Like if you're in a
yeah, yeah,
2077 world, the cops are gonna whoop your ass.
yeah, because
You,
they're like
yeah,
RoboCop
exactly. Like,
shit.
have you ever seen RoboCop? Have you ever seen
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like
Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd, dude, he's going
Yeah,
for it. Like that,
yeah,
and I want that to happen. Like I want to do some bad shit and have Judge Dredd come rock me. Like that is what
On
I'm.
his motorbike.
Yeah, whips around the corner,
Yeah.
just like it goes into slow motion. He like wanted curves a bullet on my ass. Like that would be so good. That would be so good, and I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be like, all right, he got me. You
I
know?
hope some of I don't know how much you'll see your own character in this game. I wonder like with the customization how much you'll see your character. But I was about to say like hope some of the clothing options and armor look cool.
I
Like or
think
what I know you don't get armor. I know you like your clothes like you have a leather jacket that will be like +5.
how
this.
in depth was like The Witcher with their like armor and shit. You kind of look the same the whole game, right? I don't think you really changed
No, there's
much.
quite a bit of armor. There's quite a bit of armor.
I mean,
and
but it
weapons.
was it like drastic though? It was kind of just like
Yes, I mean, it wasn't epic looking, really. I mean, like it wasn't like
yeah, it's still like you're
looking
yeah
ever. You
yeah
weren't
yeah
ever glowing and shit, but you were
right
definitely getting like it was. There's leather or like there's light, medium, and heavy armor. So like that was a big difference. So like if you're a spellcaster, there's like whole sets for spell people that like some armors had like were robes with a hood, others were completely like plated out and shit. So I mean, like
yeah.
it was like typical like medieval fantasy or like medieval armor type stuff.
I think that they've put such a focus on self modification and stuff like that that like shit looking cool is just a byproduct of
You
that.
know what? Actually, now that you said it, in the new trailer, they like said this game is about this and like cosmetics or something like like not like cosmetics like microtransactions, but like showed somebody like editing like their face and getting it like fixed or just mutated. So like I think the game does have a lot to do with the personality of your character and just like how you look. So
And it almost seems more like your body changing, almost instead of your clothing, which we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but that's like a really interesting thing to
yeah.
have in a game where it's like, instead of getting a new gun, I got a freaking gun arm, son.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
They
Like,
got like the blades that come out.
yeah,
the arm,
exactly. Like
yeah.
stuff like that's like really interesting where it's like, instead of you're getting equipment that looks cool, it's like, it's augmentations to you,
I'm still waiting in every trailer to see this, but I think Jack Frags watched in the E3 2018, like they had their own 40-minute demo shown, and he said that like in the demo they found like this big two-handed sword. It reminded him a lot of like Cloud's Buster Blade or his Buster Sword. And it was like that big, and that he would like slide and then like spin, like cut people's legs off. Like he'd like Black Ops slide and like fucking cut their legs off.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing,
like, dude. I need to see that. So
and what if it like extends out, like it sheaths on itself? You know, like for some of us,
maybe just like a big fat sword, like this big, but then it just.
Yeah, something about like that's like Cyberpunk, like it always sheaths itself. You know, like that's like like it just collapses onto itself. That's like the Cyberpunk
just,
shit.
To just put your hand out it just magnetizes you get like magnets built into your hand right here or something that can just like
anyone listening to this in audio, we're making like superhero moves and stuff right now. So
Transformers, just put it like imagine the Transformers sound and
and that's exactly what I looked like just then. So but no, I'm pumped for the game. Remnant's been tying us over to Borderlands. Borderlands we talked a little bit about last time, but we're super stoked for Borderlands 3, I think. I don't know how much really we'll get to play it right away because Modern Warfare comes out shortly after. And that game's gonna
after that, then there'll be like 3 weekdays where there's no Modern Warfare beta. And then so like there's a weekend with the beta for only PlayStation, and then after that there's another weekend for everybody. So I'm sure we'll be playing.
We'll be on both, I'm sure. Yeah.
So we'll 3 days. But at the end of September we'll be playing Borderlands quite a bit.
And I think that's definitely something we're gonna
about a week late.
Definitely something we'll likely stream quite a bit. So it'll come in a little late, but I'm thinking we'll have a good group of people. You know, you, myself, maybe some others we've been thinking about including. And rocking some awesome Borderlands stuff.
Thinking we're playing with the COD team or something.
Yeah, I think that would be sick. I hope we can get them all to play.
The 4 of us. Playing a shooter with the shooter boys.
Shooter boys,
the trigger kids. The kids playing with the kids.
I'm trying to think of something that rhymes with trigger that works for kids, but it doesn't. So, anyways, let's trigger tykes. I like it. But I honestly, we've got. I don't know. The next month or 2 is just going to be game in heaven, kind of, and then
just playing whatever we want, whenever we want.
Strong, independent, don't need no main game. But honestly, we've been excited about Remnant. Give it a shot if you haven't. Keep an eye out for some streams. I'm sure we'll be getting some things rolling, like Minecraft. We're thinking about getting going, like we talked about a little last time. That should be coming soon. And then some more Remnant for myself, and then Borderlands from all of us. I'm sure Mitch might stream some Remnant as well. But other than that, I think, anything else you want to add, Mitch?
No, if you stopped by, thanks for watching. We're doing Mondays at 6 p.m. So
we did 6:30 today, but 6 p.m. going forward.
But Gears 5. Alex was talking about Gears 5, Xbox Games Pass.
Oh yeah, Alex was saying it's on there for $5, $2, $2 for Gears. What? Oh, I see what he's saying. Xbox Game Pass, yeah. And then Gears, I know Gears 4 was for Game. I just got rid of my Xbox, and now Game Pass has some awesome stuff on it. Like he's sending me links all the time.
I need to borrow an Xbox from someone.
Yeah, or steal one. Wait, what?
Steal what?
What?
But anyway,
yeah. Honestly, gaming's in a good spot. I know everybody's kind of been complaining a little bit about there being a drought, and I think there kind of has been the last month or two. Kind of been not a lot of things to play.
I think there's not a drought for you and I, though, just because we've been playing Black Ops 2 for the last.
There's never a drought for me, honestly. I mean, I'm just the type of gamer that's I'm never gonna be able to take in everything. So I never feel like there's a drought. Yeah. But I definitely can see where others are coming from. We're putting more time into more.
I just never have enough time, and
no. And I don't know. I feel like games that I play, I'm like putting a lot of time into. I'm not the person that just like, I'm going to run it for 5 hours and move on.
I never buy a $60 game for 8 hours.
No way. No way. Yeah. But all right. Hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Quick heads up as well. We are officially on every major platform. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah, wherever you listen to podcasts, check us out. We're trying to get that audience going there. And if you are listening to us there, we appreciate you tuning in there. Feel free to leave us a rating or comment, anything you guys like to see. This guy will also be up on YouTube. If you want to see some strong jaw lines, you can head over there and check us out on video format.
Appreciate you guys watching for sure. We love gaming, we love playing games, and we love just interacting with people that love the same things we do. So if you join the chat, got any insights, questions, anything, whenever we're on our podcast or stream, just come hang out, come enjoy the time, and just get to know us better. We'd love to have fun. So
We're just
screw
wild guys,
it. I've been
Anyways,
Cooch.
I've been Verdict, so appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, take
Peace.
it easy.